This is a class for your dear knees and how we can learn to have really stable and strong supported knee positions in our yoga practice. It's very easy to collapse the knees and sort of lock the knee joints so that there's no support there and we're sort of propping on the joint. And in that position, if we're standing and weight bearing, problems can occur. We can start to get into trouble and maybe cause injuries. So we'll look at Trikanasana and Revolve Trikanasana here and help to see how our knees can improve. So if you have knee pain and problems, your knee health can really improve with a practice with lots of awareness. So let's start lying down, and you'll need a block, something to rest your hand on for this practice. So come down and just get whatever you need there set up and get comfortable. Knees bent, feet on the floor, and just take a few moments to land and rest your knees on each other so that they're really comfortable. The legs are relaxing, thighs are relaxing down, and close your eyes and start to notice your breath. So just resting here, listening to your breathing, and I'll just start to begin setting this up for you so you can understand a little bit more about this practice as you rest. So energetically, emotionally, our knees seem to be kind of connected to our moving forward in life, the steps we're taking, the directions, and our journey in life. And we sort of seem to get into issues around the knees when energetically we're sort of holding back. There seems to be a fear around where we're going, or where life is taking us. So if you're in the habit of kind of collapsing the knee and locking it, that can be a sign of just not really feeling you have the support and the strength to step forward, to go into the next stage, let's say. So this sort of practice, learning how to find a really stable, strong and steady knee position, can actually help you to be more in the moment, and then maybe learn how to take the next steps you need to take to be more comfortably yourself. So it's always interesting, I find, to explore the energetic and emotional possibilities of what we're doing physically. A few more breaths here. And then let's just look at open leg positions for the inner thighs stretching, and then stretching the outer legs. So we'll come to Patacon Asana first. So pick the feet up off the ground, draw them into your body, and then reach and grab the feet so you're holding the outside edge. If you can do that and keep the shoulders on the ground, then you can even interlace the fingers around the feet. Or if that's too tight and the head is tilted back as you do that, then just hold the ankles and let the arms rest down a bit more. So once the legs are drawn in towards you, that's enough. And then take a few moments here and see if you can feel a stretching around the inner knee, around the inner thighs and the groin. And this tends to be, for most people, a little bit easier to get a stretch in the inner leg than in the outer leg. The outer leg, the outer hip, is for most of us a lot tighter than the inner leg. And this means that if our positions in yoga, we're always opening the inside of the body and strengthening the outer body, then it can pull a twist into the knee and create problems there as well. So let's try and balance this now. So after you've felt another breath there of stretch in the inner leg, inner knee, let's see if we can feel the outer leg and outer knee stretching. So cross the right leg over the left leg and taking this laying down Gomukhasana pose. So just pull the legs apart. So you're kind of crossing at the thighs and then pulling the shins towards you and apart. And see if you can feel where this is. You might feel it in the hamstrings, the outer thigh, and maybe you might feel it in your outer knee. If you want to, you can always hold the feet and go a little bit deeper, pulling the feet apart and feeling a stretch there in the outer legs. So you're seeing if you can really feel the difference between the inner and the outer thigh sensations, and that'll help you to get to know what your knees are doing. So another couple of breaths there. See if you can relax your hips. Relax the shoulders. Notice the resistance, and this is a challenging position for everyone, so if you're struggling here, if it's really tight, you're okay. We're with you. It's challenging for everyone. And then release that and stretch the legs. And it's meant to be, it's okay, it's the way we're built, but just noticing that. So Patacon Asana again, so interlace hands around the feet or hold the ankles and just take a couple of breaths this time, stretching the knees out. See if this time you can spread the knees a little bit wider and really feel the inner thighs, inner knees. And then draw the legs in. This time cross left over right. And then grab the shins and sort of pull them down and apart. See if you can try and balance the shins so that you don't have one up and one down there. Kind of more balanced. And maybe lift the head and chest, grab the feet, and then lower down and feel a stretch there. And see if you can really give it a moment to feel, where are you feeling this? Can you feel outer thighs? What does that feel like? Is it both legs, one more than the other? Another breath there. And then releasing and just stretch. Give the feet a little wiggle. And then give your knees a rub, just up here. Back of the knees, inner knees, front of the knees. Hug them. And then let's roll up to sitting. So coming up. Oh, I'm going to go again. And then coming all the way up. So let's just warm up a bit more before we get into Trikanasana. So coming onto all fours, taking a few cat-cows and childs and dogs, just getting into a bit of a flow here. So find your breath. Exhaling, rounding, lifting belly, stretching back. Inhaling, opening. Exhaling. And then tucking the toes, downward facing dog. And walking out the legs. That's it, just stretching, getting into the hamstrings, into the calf muscles. Coming forward into plank pose, bring the feet closer together, push the heels back. Go back into child's pose, exhaling. Inhaling, coming up. Exhaling, lowering to the ground. Coming up into your cobra, feel the pubic bone, and then exhale, lower down. Coming up onto all fours, downward facing dog, stretching back. And stepping up to the top of your mat, inhale, open the chest, stick the bum out, and exhale, hugging the legs. Let's come to chair pose, so step the feet a little closer together, bend the knees. And chair pose is a really good way of strengthening the knee joint. So we're strengthening the legs and holding this bent position, raising the arms, and just see if that is any discomfort to you. Notice how your knees are there, if they kind of start feeling like they're going to lock. And just notice what's happening. Deep breath. Don't force it. Don't go too deep if your knees are uncomfortable. Inhaling up, looking up, reaching the hands and diving down, exhaling. Forward fold, half Uttanasana, inhale. Downward facing dog, stepping back. Exhale, coming forward into plank. Inhale, lift the belly. Lower to the ground, knees down, body follows. Coming through cobra, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. Take the right leg up, a big stretch. Step the right foot forward, exhale, lower left knee down, pointing the toes. Raising the arms, inhale. Hold the left wrist and take a side stretch and see if you can feel the front of the left hip, the attachment of the quads, the front of the hip stretching. We're just starting to open the hip a little bit more. Take another breath here. And then lower the arms down, coming back into downward facing dog. Exhale, forward into plank. Going all the way to the ground. And lower into cobra on the inhale. And downward facing dog. Exhale, left leg up, inhale, big stretch. And left foot forward, exhale, right knee down, pointing the back toes. Raise the arms, inhale. Take the right wrist and then sink into the hips, feeling the front of the hips, the quads getting a stretch there. little bit more in the side of the hip, side stretch, deep breath. And then lower the hands. Stepping back, exhale, plank pose, inhale. Child's pose or all the way to the ground, taking cobra or up dog and downward dog. Let's come to warrior two. So raising the left leg, inhale, reach up. Step the left foot forward, bring the right foot down, coming up. Warrior two and exhaling, settling there. Reverse your warrior two, leaning back. And then straighten the front leg, lean back, and notice how the front leg feels as it straightens, as you lean back there. And then windmill up to standing with the legs straight. So let's just pause for a moment and play with this. I want you to bring your hand down, left hand to the left knee, and then straighten the leg completely so it collapses a bit. And then relax your leg and see if you can feel your kneecap wobbling. So if you wiggle it around, it can feel a bit weird. Often when I do this in classes, people are like, oh, it's a sort of weird feeling of your kneecap moving around under your skin, and just wobble it around. Now, if you slightly bend your knee, just a little bit, just slightly bend it, and then see if you can wobble your kneecap. Yeah, so your leg almost looks straight, but you won't be able to wobble your kneecap. And the reason you can't wobble your kneecap anymore is because there's support and the muscles are engaging around that joint, so it's not collapsed. So the difference between collapsed and relaxed, you feel you can wobble. If you engage your quads, tighten them, you can't move your kneecap. So it's easier, the best way to know without having to without fiddling with the kneecap is a very slight bend in the knee creates support in that joint, so you've got a stable joint. So we don't need to be fully bent, but it's also not collapsed and relaxed. Okay, it's just engaged. Another thing you can do is bring the knee slightly to the left, out to the outside of the mat, and then you can feel it's very stable there, and you can feel your leg is stable. At first it's quite hard to hold the leg in that position for any length of time, but it will get easier. Okay, so once you've played with that, grab your block. Put your block just sort of under the line of your knee so it's easy. We're not going to go too deep here. And I want you to just really watch your knee and notice if you just sort of, your knee just automatically, unconsciously collapses and relaxes. So bend the knee slightly, and with time you'll just find this is your automatic position. It took me actually months or even years to get used to this, but now it's just habitually stable in my knee much more. So raise the right arm and push into the feet and see if you can keep rolling the left knee to the left and very slightly bending it, opening up the chest. And then as you push the feet down, can you roll the heart open? Look back down at your knee, check its position. It might be shaking at this point, that's okay. Reach the right arm higher, so vertical arm. Don't kind of collapse it back, arm is up, it's fine. Take another breath, strong legs, and then coming up. Bend your knee. Okay, and we'll come down and try the other side. So when actually just fold forward, so turn the toes out, turn the toes in, and let's come into a forward fold and just stretch out there. So you can use your block again, or just bring the hands to the ground. Let the knees bend a little and just feel the back of the legs stretching. So folding down, you can do a few breaths here, inhaling, heart open. Exhaling, forward fold, folding in. One more of those, inhaling, chest opening up. And exhaling down. Let's come to the other side. So turn the left toes out and come up. Bend your front knee. And then from here, you're going to come to reverse warrior two. So bend the front knee deep, touch the back leg, leaning back. Take a deep breath here. And then straighten your front leg. And as it straightens, notice, does it just automatically collapse and lock? See if you can straighten it. And without looking at it, can you feel it very slightly bent? Then windmill your arm forward. And as you come forward, explore that kneecap wobbly thing. So straighten the leg and collapse it and relax the thigh. And what you'll notice, say for me, as I relax, I can see my knee is collapsing inwards towards the left. So if I just roll my leg towards the right, I can see my leg engages, the kneecap lifts, and I can't move it. So then collapse it and then feel it sort of wobble. And then engage it, roll it to the right a little bit and feel it engage. So see if you can explore that stable position, which isn't collapsed, and then grab your block, put your block just to the right of the knee, but in the line of the knee, and put the fingers there. And then watch your knee and notice if it sort of unconsciously just kind of collapses. Slightly bend it, roll it to the right. Again, you can always check the kneecap if you're in doubt. Then raise the left arm, turn the heart open, look down at your knee, look at your leg, and just hold that very slightly bent position. So it sort of looks straight, but you can feel that you're just holding it slightly bent. Draw the chest open, maybe looking up here. Don't lean too hard on your block, keep the chest up. Push the feet down, raise the heart, looking down, checking the leg. One more breath. Reach the arm over the ear and then fold forward again. Turn the toes in, parallel feet. Releasing down, exhale. Half Uttanasana, inhale. And then turning towards the right foot, so go towards the back of your mat. Lower the back knee. And then step back into downward facing dog here. Rocking forward into plank pose. Going to child's pose or going through chaturanga, or you can go to the ground cobra or up dog. See what you feel like. Downward dog, exhale. So we're going to come to Revolve Trikanasana now. So step the right foot forward, keep the block handy and bring the back foot down. Come up to warrior two again. But this time it's more like coming into warrior one at the beginning. So we step the back foot forward a little bit and we'll start with pyramid pose. So facing the right leg, you're going to start to come down, and what I want you to do is notice that knee position. Notice if it's locking, keep it slightly bent. Hold your hips and see if you can bring your chest forward. Now what we're going to start to feel is from Trikanasana you were opening the inside of the knee. And now you're going to start to feel the outside of the leg stretching. So as you rotate, can you start to pull that right hip back a little bit more? So grab hold of the right hip, pull it back and start to fold forward. And you'll feel a big stretch in the hamstrings, big stretch in the outer hip. And then grab your block with your left hand, put it onto the ground where your left foot would be. And then keep pulling your right hip back. Keep turning and lift the chest up as you rotate. So turn the chest. You might find you're too high on the block. You need to come a bit lower so you can turn the chest. So your spine is around horizontal. The right hip goes back. Push the right foot down, roll the right knee to the right, and you should feel the hamstrings and the outer right hip stretching there. Then raise the right arm. Deep breath, pushing into the feet. Maybe look at the ground, check the foot, check the knee. Then turn the heart and turn the head. Another breath there. It's a big twist. And then lower the hand down. Lower the back knee. Taking your lunge, raise the arms. Inhale. And then downward facing dog. Stepping back. Exhale. Rocking forward into plank. Inhale. Going back to child or to the ground. Coming through your back bend. And downward dog. So stepping the left foot up and bring the right foot down, coming up into warrior two. Exhale. And then from here, bring the hands to the hips, move the right foot out a bit, as if you're going to warrior one now, and we'll come into pyramid. So you straighten the front leg, and again, notice, does it collapse when you straighten it? Straighten it, but keep it very slightly bent. Then pull the right hip back. Start to come forward. Watch your knee, be aware of your leg. And then as you come forward, put your block down where your right foot would be, and then pull the left hip back. So your chest is lifting up and your left hip is pulling back. See if you can feel this all down the outer left side of the leg, the hamstrings, and this is starting to then stretch the outside of the knee and stabilize the inner knee. So we're balancing the two sides. Maybe bring the block a little lower or come onto the ground altogether there. And then lift the heart and raise the left arm. Keep the back heel down. Keep pulling that left hip back. Keep the left big toe down. Really stabilizing the leg. Look down at your leg. Open the heart. Deep breath.
And then lower your hand and step back, downward facing dog. And you should feel your legs there, really feeling into the legs, into the hips. Come forward into plank, coming back into child's pose. So I'm just going to give the quads a little bit of a stretch there. So coming forward, because that's really strengthened and engaged the quads. So coming into pigeon pose, bring the right knee forward. And if you find when you're in pigeon that your knee hurts, is uncomfortable, then you can use a block under your hip, and that'll give you some support so you can sit up on the block here, and that'll take some of the weight off the knee. Or you can always actually leave the hip on the ground, but it's harder to do the quad stretch here. You could just bend the back knee instead of trying to grab it. Okay, so find a position, or you can just stay where you are there in your pigeon. I'm going to put the block under my hip. And then from here, bend your back knee and see if you can reach back and grab your foot and then pull your foot in towards your bum. And this will start to stretch the front of the knee. And that's really important because in those positions, we were really engaging around the knee. So we'll give it a stretch now. So you're drawing your foot in. Deep breaths, opening up the heart. Just a few breaths here, just working with that intense opening. Push the foot into the hand to create a little resistance there. Another breath. And then releasing the foot down. And coming back into dog. Have a stretch. And then forward into plank, back into child's pose. Take another breath here. Coming up, and we'll come to pigeon on the other side, left knee forward. And maybe use the block under the hip. It's quite nice to do this with that support, just taking the weight off the front knee. And we can work with the back leg more then. So bring the back knee back as far as you can, then bend the knee, grab the foot, and see if you can draw the foot in and feel the front of the thigh. And the quads, when they're really tight, will impact on the knee, and it'll pull a lot of tension into the knee joint. So stretching the quads is really helpful for the knee, releasing some of that pressure. So as you stretch the quads as well, they'll learn to be able to engage more. And then as they engage, they give the knee stability and support. So sort of waking this whole area up. Deep breath. And then release your foot. Move the block, coming back into downward facing dog. Walking the legs. Plank pose, inhale. Child's pose. Exhale. Just sinking down there for a moment. Okay, and then coming up and sitting, and just coming to one little position, a sitting position here. It's just helpful to be aware of your knees when we're sitting. So if there's a lot of tension in the knee, what you can notice is in your sitting position, if you've got a straight leg, just to keep the knee bent, if there is pressure in the knee, then you can do these positions with the foot on the ground, the knee a bit bent, and you can even put something under your knee like a blanket or a towel or something to give it support. But this can just help. So just try this now, and it's still a really nice stretch. So a good bend in that knee. Leave the heel on the ground, and you can even maybe put your foot on your block if you want to, just to make it easier to keep the foot there, whatever's comfortable. And then turn your belly towards the thigh and fold down and just rest over your bent knee. And feeling there how both knees feel in this position. They should feel neutral. In your knees, you don't want to be feeling a lot. You want to have neutral, unpressured sensations coming up. And then stretch out and see if you can fold down again with the legs straighter and see how that feels. And if it's a lot of pressure, then don't straighten it completely. Leave a little bend and fold. And as the deeper you fold, the more you bend your knee, so the knee comes up to meet you. And just feel that. Do that a couple of times. And that just allows the joints to move as they're intended to, and not putting pressure on the back. And then coming up. And then this other side, so what you can feel here as you twist is that might not be comfortable for the knee, so you can always bring the foot behind you as well. And take a twist there and see how that feels on the knee, which is quite a stretch for the knee, which is no harm. But we want to keep the foot pointed back, so you don't turn your toes out, because that can put undue pressure on the knee and create injury. So we want to keep the toes pointed back, away from the chest, back towards your back, and turning there. And we'll take one side stretch here. So keeping the knee slightly bent if that's comfortable. Keep the right hand down. And if your leg is okay in that position, bring the left arm up, bring the hand outside the body, and just take a nice big deep side stretch there for a few breaths. Exhale. If the elbow can come down, you can rest on it or just use the hand. Keep the chest opening. One more breath. And then fold forward. Coming up. So it's important when we're doing this not to keep holding the leg in a position where the knee is uncomfortable, because it can just cause more problems. So let's try that on the other side. So you're bringing this knee to a bent position, and then the other one really bent as well. And then kind of come up and actually pull the leg in towards you and reach and maybe hold the foot, and then squeeze in there. And that's a nice fold in, folding over your leg. Turn towards the leg, exhaling there. And then coming up, and then see if you can explore going forward and letting the knee bend up towards you. So the knee comes up towards you and then straightens as you come up, so that you're feeling that hinging of the joints, that natural hinging. And another breath there, hinging. And coming back, and then turn the knee the other way and see if it's comfortable. It might not be. So bring your knee the other way and make sure the toes are pointing back. So having the toes out like this can rupture the knee capsule and joint. So we want to point the toes back and then open up the chest. And then let's take a forward bend there briefly, a little bend, and then we'll take a side stretch. So twisting to the right, deep breath. And then leaning over, move the left hand out and the right arm up. And just start to lean into a deep side stretch, seeing how that's feeling. Opening the side waist. And just keep checking, how do your knees feel? How are they in this position? Opening out the side waist. One more breath. Inhaling up. And then bring both legs in front of you. And we're going to come and lie down. And use the block. We're going to try one more quad stretch and for the top of the feet in bridge pose. This can be pretty challenging if you've got tight quads and tight ankles, but you'll know about this. So just go where you can. So we're going to come up into bridge, just exploring the feeling in the legs here as you come up. Lift the hips. And then see if you can put your block under your bum. And if you can, you're putting it up at its highest setting. So you might have to lift the heels to do that. And we want the block really high to give us lots of space here. If you can only bring it down to here, then maybe just rest there and don't do the foot thing, because there won't be enough room. So you want to bring the block up as high as it can. Rest on the hips there. Tuck the shoulders right under the back. And then pick up the right heel and walk the foot in, and then rest on the top of the foot. So the top of the foot comes in, and you'll feel that as a big stretch for the front of the knee and the quads. And see if you can just take a few moments just to feel that. It's pretty intense. So exploring that. Even if you're just trying to curl your toe in, that's fine for now. Another stretch. And then release that foot. Try the other one. So lift the heel, walk the foot in as close as you can, and then flip onto the top of the foot and see if you can walk it in, walk it in, walk it in. Sending the knee down, just a few breaths, and giving the legs loads of opening at the front, releasing pressure on the knees. And then slowly release there. Lift your heels, remove the block, and come and lie down. So we'll finish off with the two positions we started with and just see if there's any difference now. So Patacon Asana, so separate your knees, hold your ankles, and maybe see you might now actually be able to hold the feet more easily. Separate the knees and see what it feels like around the knees now. What the sensations are, shoulders down the back. Just have a few breaths here, feeling into your legs.
And then slowly draw the knees back in. And then we're going to try the outer hip stretch. So right leg over left leg. Separate the feet. Maybe lift the head and grab the ankles or the feet. Pull the feet apart and feel and how that feels now. And you might just notice it's still strong. There's a lot of sensation there, but you might have just released a little bit more space. So just a couple of breaths here. Just see how that's feeling. Outer thighs, inner thighs, all getting lots of opening, lots of attention, which releases pressure off our dear knees. And then the other side, so crossing left over right, lifting up, holding feet or ankles, trying to balance out the height of the feet as you draw the feet in, shoulders down the back. Couple more breaths. Just feeling what's there now. And then releasing the feet. Stretch out the legs. Just enjoy a few minutes. A few nice leisurely moments in Shavasana, just letting the legs go. Give the legs a little wobble. And as you rest here, take a few moments to just consider if there's anything in your life that you just feel that you're putting the brakes on about, if there's fear around something happening. Maybe it's a move, a change that you feel is imminent. Maybe there's a habit or something that you really know you need to shift and change that you're resisting. So just notice where you might have the brakes on in your life at the moment, where you might be unconsciously holding back, and how you could develop more support. So in order to move and change and let go, change involves support. So not to push yourself into making changes, but to think, how could you better support yourself? What do you need in your life that could give you more support, more safety, more comfort to enable necessary changes to happen? Who do you need? What do you need? What helpful practices can you put in place, like this one today? How can you make more time for yoga, more time for stillness, for awareness? For your breath. And just stepping the feet onto the ground. Bring your hands to your belly. Take a moment to just feel grateful for yourself, for this practice you've done today, for your connection and energy you're giving to yourself in these moments. Because this really is the best support of all, is time with yourself, self-care. You're doing great. Then hug your knees into your chest, and as you hug them in, give them a little rub. Just circling around the knees. Hold your knees and then just circle your hips a few times around opposite directions, and then go back in the other way. And then rocking up to sitting. Finding a seat. Hands on your knees. Awareness in your heart. Nice straight back. Well done. Namaste.